This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to maybe the most frustrating edition of the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST this season. Your spot for instant Rays reaction after every single game. My name is Johnny Shields. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. I'll be getting a lot more active on there, as I was very active on there tonight, as we will get to, as I predicted a certain thing that ended up coming true during this game. In this one, we're going to talk about how the Rays battled for Zach Wheeler and how really good Zach Wheeler is, one of the best pitchers in baseball. We're going to be talking about the Rays' big hitters once again showing up, but one of those big hitters hopefully can avoid going on the IL. But first, we're going to be talking about what I think might have been the Kevin Cash worst decision of the season.
This is what you'll be talking about.
When Kevin Cash put Mason Englert into the game, I immediately took to Twitter and said, Mason Englert has given up 5 earned runs over his last 3 games. It is a 1-run game in the 8th inning. The Phillies have the worst bullpen in baseball. This was by far the worst decision by Kevin Cash this season. And let me preference the rest of what I'm going to say by saying Kevin Cash, I think, is still the best manager in baseball. I would not want any other manager on earth to coach the Rays other than Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash is a great person. He's a great manager. But he made a glaring mistake tonight. And I'm also going to preface this by saying the Rays had an off day yesterday, but we don't know the situation with the bullpen. You don't know how the bullpen was stacking up, right? I don't know who was off today, who couldn't pitch today, who could pitch today, whatever. But anyone would have been better than Mason Englert in the 8th. He is the worst pitcher on the roster. It is well known, and he is struggling. The time for a get-right spot is not versus arguably maybe the best 3-hitter combo in baseball with Turner, Harper, and Schwarber. It is absolutely not the time for it. And it just blows my mind. I tweeted before it even happened. I said, this isn't going to end well. He punted on the game when the Rays were down by 1. And it is I don't have an answer for it. If anyone watches his post game, if it's going on right now, please, if someone asks him about the 8th inning, let me know what he says. Because I think it's kind of an unexcusable mistake. And the turning point segment is also in here. So let's get to the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
It's when Mason Englert stepped on the mound. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have his confidence. And look, I bet he's he seems like a nice kid, but he doesn't have it right now. And this is Major League Baseball. You need to put your guys in the best position to succeed. And putting Mason Englert in that spot, it was not by far. It might have been the worst position for him to be in. This is a guy that is struggling. This is a guy that needs to go in when the Rays are either up big or down big to try to get back and try to get his mojo back. Putting him in, I'm not even putting this on him. This is all on Kevin Cash. Putting him in versus like I said before, the best 3-hitter combo in baseball is setting him up for failure. And all of a sudden, the Phillies score 4 runs before he even records an out. But did anyone expect any differently when he went into the game? I know I didn't. And it's just incredibly frustrating that, and again, I don't have all the facts. I don't know who's available. But Clevenger was up throwing with him. Why isn't Clevenger in the game in that spot? You're facing 2 lefties and 2 of the best lefties in baseball at that. And you're putting a guy that reaches 94, maybe has a good changeup, but it doesn't have his best stuff. And you want him to instill confidence in him. And when everyone's healthy, he's not going to be on the roster. And I don't know if you're Mason Englert, what do? You go out there and try to do your best. But again, as a coach, your job is to put your players in the best situation to succeed. And Kevin Cash did not do that tonight. He put Mason Englert in the worst possible situation he could be in to succeed. And I'm just really eager to hear his post-game comments. So obviously going live after the game, we don't get to hear it. But I pray that someone asks about the 8th inning, and I really wonder why he went to Englert there, because it for sure was not a matchup thing. I can guarantee you that. I'm sure Bryce Harper hits righties better than he hits lefties, and Clevenger has been one of the Rays' best relievers lately. And again, it stings even more because the very next inning, the Rays score. And it's just salt in the wound. That's what I tweeted. It is salt in the wound that right away the Rays would have tied the game. And eventually, you never know what happens. You're bringing Clevenger, they still might have scored 4 runs. But I love the Rays odds. Not even I love the Rays odds to limit them to 1 or 0 runs with Clevenger and the rest of their bullpen than putting in Englert. It's an inexcusable mistake by Kevin Cash. And I hope that he says that in the post-game press conference. And of course, obviously, unless there's some other circumstances going on of why, other guys might have been down or whatnot. But again, no one I'd want managing our team other than Kevin Cash. But look, you got to be fair. And these guys, he's a professional baseball coach, and you have to get criticized when you did something that deserves to be criticized. And this was by far his worst mistake of the year. And I thought his other mistake, the Rays need a solution at their backup catcher. I know Royfa had a hit tonight, but you just cannot keep rolling him and Walls 8-9. And I know Walls had the 4 hits last game, and apparently that's like the 3rd time in his career he's done it. I don't know if Taylor Walls will get 4 hits the rest of this homestand. So you're rolling those 2 guys out there, and it's basically like 2 free outs every single time they come up. And Janikowski, I understand he's had 3 hits or scored 3 runs, whatever he did the last game, and I applauded. They were like my player of the game basically. But I would have loved to see Chris Morel back out there. And I know 2 lefties are coming up, and Morel's going to play the next 2 games. But man, that bottom of the lineup, from when the game mattered, didn't provide you anything. Granted, a lot of the lineup didn't provide you anything. But we're going to talk about some positive things out of that. If you guys are live, leave a comment. If you guys are watching the replay, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about Kevin Cash's decision there. Am I overreacting to this? Because I thought by far that this was his worst decision so far this year. But we're going to get some more positive things. We're talking about the Rays' big hitter showing up again. We're going to talk about the Rays battling versus Zach Wheeler right after this. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money, you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes it getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all-in pricing, and lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On. As the Rays, they're at home, and frankly, the Rays were outnumbered by Phillies fans tonight. So I understand it's tough during the week, it's a work week, but if you guys are able to, make sure you get to Steinbrenner and kind of prop up this team because they are struggling at home. And if you guys do, I can count on Game Time to help you grab tickets that meet your guys' needs. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% or $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Anyway, so let's get to some more positive news as the Rays' big-time hitters show up again. Really good to see Brandon Lau get a big-time double, and that was his first double of the year. And I listened to more of the radio broadcast today. I was out doing some stuff, and Neil said that he was in his expected batting average should be 266, and he's hitting 203. That's Brandon Lau we're talking about. That's a huge disparity, and it's something that I very much hope that Brandon Lau evens out. It's not on him. He hits the ball hard more than anyone, I swear. And we hope that it evens out. So good to see him get the double. And obviously, Yandy got hurt. Don't know the status of that. Hopefully, Cash talks about that in the postgame as well, as he had a big-time Odyssey Field home run. And we talked about the Rays struggle against aces. And Zach Wheeler was unbelievable tonight. Didn't walk anyone. His fastball may be the best pitch in baseball. But the Rays really battled against him, I thought. Even though it didn't walk anyone, the Rays put together some pretty good at-bats outside of Cameron Meisner, who, by the way, guys, even with that last hit, 4 for his last 37. He has 7 strikeouts in his last 2 games. He's been struggling. He hit that wall. So hopefully he can come out of that slump. Hopefully that single at the end can get him going. But yeah, I mean, just the Rays are not completely out of their slump yet. but they're still doing all the right things that productive offenses do in order to get out of that slump and start scoring more runs or big time runs on a consistent basis. So again, we're about to get to the comments. Leave a comment. We're going to get to them like we always do. If you guys are watching the replay, like, subscribe, and also comment on the replay. Was I too harsh on Kevin Cash? The Rays face 2 lefties coming up. So the Rays are the worst team in the MLB against hitting lefties. So they're going to need to figure that out if they want to have some success. I'm interested to see what the lineup is going to be these next 2 days, because you're not going to sit Brandon Lowe both games. You're not going to sit Jonathan Aranda both games. You're not going to sit insert left-handed bat here both games. So really interested to see what Kevin Cash is going to do with all of his lefties, as it's time to get to the comments. So again, if you guys have comments, get to them. We're going to start at the top as we go to Michael Deem. We'll start with a positive one. Look like the 5 of the lineups tonight, both the team with superstars came out on top. Yeah, Steinbrenner is built for teams like the Phillies. I mean, with their power, I mean, they might hit 15 home runs this series. I think that, 4 tonight? So, I mean, the rough matchup for the Rays because Steinbrenner really fits the Phillies' needs. And I thought Drew Rasmussen really, again, battled tonight, got touched up in that second inning, but I felt like he got up, like he got to count 0-2, 1-2, and then he was just fall behind. That's why his pitch count got up and why he got out of there a little bit early. As we go to our guy, Gary, bad loss. What made it worse felt like a Phillies home game. The Phillies do travel well, especially because they do spring training down here as well. So, yeah, they're going to travel well. I know a lot of them, I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure a lot of them have some sort of property here, or, like coming here because they've come here for so long for spring training. And as we go back to Gary, he says, it was a 1-run game until the 8th inning. Is it time to be concerned about Mason Englert? It is beyond time to be concerned about Mason Englert. It would be time to start looking for replacements for Mason Englert. As we go again to I want to talk about again Evan Cloakesy, probably the best follow on the Rays Twitter right now. After the first week, Tampa Bay Rays are 5-12 at home. This team has scored 3 or less runs in 9 of those 17 games. And I think even more recently, those 9 games have I know 4 of them are in their last 4 games. They scored 4 runs tonight, but still 2 of those runs were in kind of garbage time. As we will go to some more as we go to Argenis. First Kevin Cash moment of the season so far. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. Again, Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball. There's no manager I would rather have than Kevin Cash. But I mean, yeah, this decision, unless there's some excuse about some guys couldn't go up and pitch, but Clevenger was warming up with him. So really interested to see what he's going to say. So we go to Daryl Brooks. He says, Wall sitting next to Rortvedt isn't a Wall's problem. It's a Rortvedt problem. Look how many stolen bases he's given up IDFM and call. Like the Rays need a replacement for Rortvedt. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays have given up the second most stolen bases this year, and they actually threw someone out today. But when you have Rortvedt, Walls in the 8-9, I mean, it's 2 automatic outs. You say, isn't a Walls problem? Taylor Walls is not an MLB hitter, if we're being frank. He hasn't hit over 200 in almost 3 years. So, again, if Taylor Walls can hit 220, then by all means, let's sign me up. But putting those guys at 8-9 is beyond brutal to say. As we go to Gary, thought Junior sack fly was going out. I did too for a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I was so pessimistic by that time, and I was so mad because I didn't want to be right when I sent out my tweet. And again, you guys go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. Been tweeting a lot more over there, but I mean, you could just see it coming when he came into the game. As we go to Alexander, he said, just had an off day. Why you put in Englert in a 1-run game? No idea. We talked about that a lot earlier. I know when you joined, Alexander, and yeah, to me, there's no excuse for having Englert in the game there. I just like Cash punted on the game, and with the Phillies have one of the worst bullpens in baseball. So that's the key of the next 2 days. The Zach Wheeler is kind of a unicorn and how durable he is. Racing to get these Philly starters out early and get into their bullpen. As we go to Alexander again, Yandy being hurt. Yeah, it did not look good. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. It did not look good with Yandy. I'd be shocked if it doesn't go in the IL, at least on the 10-day IL. At that point, Coco Montes is the only guy on the 40-man. Like, I would bring up Eloy. I don't know who you have to DFA to bring him up, but, man, like, you don't need another infielder. You don't need Coco Montes. Like, you need a guy that can bring some pop to this lineup, and that's not Coco Montes. So, look, I really hope he doesn't go in the 10-day, and I hope that he just needs an off day or two, and he's good to go. But, yeah, I mean, as we go to Alexander again, this 2 lefties back-to-back, with Yandy out, it just hurts him even more against lefties because you look at their lineup and who should be in versus a lefty tomorrow. So let's say Yandy's out, like Aranda or Junior should be in versus lefty. I mean, the last time we saw Rondo versus a lefty was rough, but I'd still play him. That's 2. Like Morel is going to be in against a lefty. Cabrera is going to be in against a lefty. They're going to play Danny Jansen. They're going to play Curtis Mead. So that's 6 right there. You're going to play Chandler Simpson. That's 7. But you're looking at playing, unless they bring Montes up, unless they bring Montes up, you're going to be looking at a lineup against lefty with probably at least 3 or 4 left-handed bats in there. So going to be really interested to see what the lineup looks like if Yandy is hurt. As we go to Mike H, as you said, Rays lead the league in defensive runs saved at 26. Yes, they do. The Rays win with pitching and defense and timely hitting. And that's how the Rays, even though they've been awful at points this season, are still in contention and not, 10 games under 500, honestly, is how good they are defensively. So this is a great stat to point out. As we go to our Genus, I like this positive thinking. Let's focus on winning tomorrow. Let's go to the pitching matchup tomorrow, as Shane Baz is on the mound, as he has been fantastic for the Rays. He's been their best pitcher, as he will face Christopher Sanchez, who's 3-1 this year, 3.4 ERA. Big strikeout guy, 39 strikeouts. He had a game where he had 12 strikeouts this year. So he is a very, very good pitcher. As we go back to Alexander, this is a really good point. Mead is going to get more at bats if Yandy has to go on the IL. He absolutely is. And this is his time to shine. If Curtis Mead can tap into even half of what he was doing in spring training, the Rays will be fine. If Yandy's only out for a little bit, if Yandy's out for an extended period of time, I mean, that's basically a death blow to this Rays offense. I don't know how they'd be able to come back for that. And again, if he does go on the IL, I really hope they bring up Eloy in some capacity. And if someone wants to refresh me on how he's doing in Durham right now, I know he got out to a pretty hot start, but you just need some pop. You don't need another guy that's, a contact guy that's going to hit 220 with whatever. You need a guy to bring some pop into this offense if Yandy does have to miss an extended period of time. If we go to Gary, you guys get your comments in. We're about to wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone joining. Pretty good number, even after a Rays loss. Let's go to Gary. If it's a tight game late, feel good about the Rays' chances. Much better and deeper bullpen than Philly. And I agree, which makes the decision to play Englert even more puzzling, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if it can be defendable. But before we get out of here, we will talk about quickly a player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
It was ironic because before the 8th inning, I was going to talk about how the depth of the bullpen, I think, is better than, the Rays could have thought. And Eric Orsi is the reason for that. His ERA is below 1. He went another 2 innings today, and he was fantastic. So he's the player of the game. 2 innings, no hits, 2 walks, a strikeout, 35 pitches. I mean, he has been a pleasant surprise. You want to talk about bright spots? He has absolutely been a bright spot for this Rays bullpen. It's just ironic. Literally had it written down in the notes, Rays bullpen depth, but before that. But yeah, I mean, I wrote it down. We talked about the bad, Meisner struggling. I hope he figures out. He's a really talented player. No reason why Englert should be in the game in that spot. And really interested to see what the Rays do to address, the backup catcher, because having Rortvedt play 2 or 3 days a week is not ideal for a guy hitting below 100 when the Rays already have a handful of guys who can barely hit 200. So, look, the Rays need a winning homestand this week. I mean, everyone in the AL East keeps losing. I know the Yankees won big tonight, but they lost again last night. So you need to take advantage. You need to keep treading water before you get some guys back. Josh Lowe is going to start rehab games in Durham. I mean, he would just be a welcome sight to come back. I mean, just cannot wait for him to come back enough. But I appreciate everyone joining. If you guys made it to the end, if you're watching the replay, like, comment, and subscribe. And again, we'll be back here tomorrow. And again, the best part about baseball, we get to flush all this tonight, and the Rays try to get another win tomorrow night. And hopefully they can do it against a lefty, because that would be absolutely much appreciated. So again, if you guys made it to the end, I appreciate all you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow night.